yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Dear diarrhea, diarrhea full of shit, just playing along with himself now, no one else, so yo, so legit. Oh, hee ha, hee ha 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 ho. ASC, how's my future wife you be? You know, the other day I was at the local grocery store buying some local groceries, and they have these discount bins of things that have been on the shelf for a long time, or are damaged, or are seasonal and the season is over, such as orange and black Halloween candy, or, you know, heart-shaped boxes, you know, and shit like that. So they sell it at, you know, half price. And I bought me two little notebook pads, because I still like to use, you know, notebook paper, you know, for like put a grocery list on the fridge, you know, so you add something, you know, when you stumble across it. And sure, I'm, you know, a tree gave its life for that, but, you know, these AI data centers, I think, you know, this whole paperless wireless nonsense is kind of a crock of fucking shit. That don't work no more. Cat's out the bag. Fuck the rainforest. And like I said, I don't know what all the details are as far as water usage and greenhouse gas, but and pollution in the air and whatnot. Like I said, that the must be cancer. Actually, I just kind of, there was like some water, well, spit, saliva, like right on the cusp of my larynx or whatever. I just kind of had to clear it out. But not to sound disgusting, but that's what's up. But anyway, oh, that the natural gas stuff. You know, like I said, I need to, you know, natural gas fired turbines. You know, I was doing some research on that. You know, and they're pretty fucking clean. You know, and I just need to do some more, you know, homework. You know, and you know, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And mind you, you know, you can't believe everything, you know, you see on the internet, you know, or see or hear, but shit, especially if it's AI. If it's AI, forget it. It is worthless. It has no credibility. If it's an actual person and you can still tell that it's a person, you know, a real person speaking with their real voice, then yeah, you can listen to them. But yeah, AI is not your friend. You know, that example that you know, Bill Whittle gave, you know. AI is absolutely fucking biased, you know. What's 2 plus 2, AI? Well, that depends. There are many different variations of 2 plus 2. Wrong answer, AI. And like I said, all them truck videos that I recently posted in the AI, or the AI BS, you know, fake shit. Like I said, it's just such horse shit. You know, and if you didn't know, you might think. The bucket thing, you might be like, that sounds like horse shit. But some of the other stuff, it's like, okay, you know, maybe not, you know, but it's a, like I said, every single bit of information, and let me rephrase that. The only bit of information in all 3 of those videos is the fucking bunk heater. It's like, yeah, that's how bunk heaters work. Okay. All right, you know. You got the gallons, you know, per hour, you know, right, and all that shit, you know, as far as an engine idling and all that shit. Okay. and the visuals. They're just so fucked up, chopped and spliced inside out, and just the one, it was a goddamn fucking, aircraft cockpit, shit, like with a steering wheel. Actually, I don't think it had a steering wheel. It's like AI, yeah. That mother trucker channel, you can't get the fucking sensors to work right in the bathroom, and now they've got them driving trucks. Well, those are obviously way more expensive sensors. Let's not get that, wrong. But I don't know. But anyway, I use paper, and I put it in my pocket, and then I cross out that little section, and I put it back in the drawer, and I reuse it. And then, so if I only use half of the page, I cross that out and then use the other half later. And then I'll cross that out and then still put it back in the drawer and use the back half. I even use the cardboard piece on the very back. So I bought these, what I thought were little notebook, pads, just like a 3x4, piece of paper. Turns out they're cards for a baby boy. It's a boy, so like some of them are envelopes, and I'm going to use the envelopes. So, SC, it must be fate. You and I are supposed to have a baby. And with Katie Boo, she was like in her upper 30s, right? She was hanging on to a dream, that really didn't exist for her. Why she wasn't married because she was such a pretty little girl, I don't know. She had head issues. And I think it was a combination of the dude she was dating were just like, what, fuck it, I can't take this. Have a good life. It's been nice dating you and sleeping with you and doing things with you and sharing a bed with you and sharing all, and just doing things with you, but I'm done with you. I can't tolerate you. And then she, had her head issues, and she's thinking she was never good enough and just whatever the hell she had going on. And unfortunately, until I see proof of life, which I'm pretty confident that I will never get, and I have to assume that she did it. She took herself out the game. But that poor girl, that poor little lamb, she and she probably was talking to a therapist, who was some female feminist who's like, oh yeah, you can freeze your eggs, it's like she's full of shit, But the thing is, that wouldn't have hurt my feelings, just her and I, just being a unit. If she wasn't a good Christian girl, maybe doing some of that, show your ass stuff and make it a buck or two, a quick buck or two, or 3 or 4 or 5 million. But she's gone now, and good riddance. And I was just a troll. I didn't do that sort of shit, and it was complete and utter fucking bullshit. So whatever. But you, what are you, like 28 or something like that? You're still fertile as hell. So I don't know if you want kids. But must be fate. What else could it be? Must be fate. What else could it be, baby? Must be fate. La di da di da di da. Blah 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 blah. What you think about that? What you think about that? Huh? 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 I got all my shit packed up. Just need to pack up my clothes. Need to buy some more tools and stuff. I'll do that. Tomorrow. Just some basic stuff. I pretty much, because like I said, I need to have like a small and a medium, type stuff. Just basic stuff, channel locks, crescent wrench, small, medium, and large, Phillips head screwdrivers, flathead screwdrivers, small, medium, and large zip ties, small and medium snips, if I need to snip something, or if I need to snip like a mud flap or something. if I need to replace one, because you can buy mud flaps, you know, and then you can just snip them to size, grind some holes in them, literally just like with your pocket knife. You just need to be able to get some, get the bolt through there. So carry some, the bolts that are on the, you know, well, you don't need to carry them. You need to, what you need to carry is in case the bolts on your landing gear go poo-poo. You need to carry those. You need to carry some bolts, washers. Oh yeah. And lock nuts or two nuts that you just butt up against each other or whatever. So you need to carry a couple of those. But the mud flaps, you know, those will still be on the bracket. Need to carry a big damn pipe wrench so you can straighten out that mud flap bracket. Because most likely if it gets ripped off by a tire blowing or you backed up against a curb that was too high or whatever, you know, you can just put your back into it, straighten that bitch out, buy a mud flap, you know, just basic shit. So I got a list. I need to add that to the list. Big damn pipe wrench. So a pipe wrench, not a pipe. That way it's adjustable so you can use it for other things and, you know, what have you. So I really wish Katie Boo wouldn't have done that. It's a damn tragedy. I just can't believe it. You know, I'm still like in shock. It pisses me off. I'm pissed. You know, I'm disappointed. I'm sad. I'm shocked. You know, I mean, not really. You know, but you know, I kind of am. That movie that she made, and just fuck. You know, and those are real tears. You know what? You are strong. You know, and you know, and can we go to bed now? And they're all cuddled up. You know, she's the cuddle-lee, and the dunce was the cuddler. And it's a fucking, you know what I mean? Just fucking. Why'd she do that? She's a stupid bitch. A stupid bitch. You know. But anyway, SC. Obviously, you know, the universe had a plan. Like I said, Terry Papipati, I would have to disagree with that. I'd have to ask him what his opinion on that was. So, like, what happened with Katie Boo? What was up with that? Did that happen for a reason, or did she just not take the advice? Because everybody still has free will, right? You know, and maybe certain decisions, you know, open different types of doors and whatnot, and then it's like, okay, you know, whatever. You know, it's kind of like a video game or something. You can go this way or you can go that way. There's different things in store, you know, depending on what path you take. I don't know. So I could see that as some sort of reasoning, you know. It's like, well, the universe, you know, did have a plan, but she didn't capitalize on it. It's like, okay, fine, I could believe that. Not that I necessarily believe that, but, you know, whatever. Like I said, I do consider myself a Christian, just a bad one. I do believe that there's more to this world than we know. So, was there ever a Garden of Eden? I don't know. Was there ever a great flood? It's in the Bible, is it? I don't know. I haven't read the damn thing cover to cover yet. You know, there's certain things that's just like, I don't know. Just Jonah and the whale, you know. Well, it depends on what kind of whale it is. Are there whales out there with throats big enough that can swallow humans? You know, and you know the stomach acid and the no oxygen and no water and stuff. You know, it's like I said, you know, there's definitely some sort of, there's something out there. There's like an energy a force. I mean, as far as creation goes, I mean, there almost has to be. You know what I mean? Like I remember Pack Attack talking about, life being like, a tornado flowing through a junkyard and assembling a fully functioned 747. Yeah, it's similar, but honestly, it's like even more in depth than that. Just the way that your cells are designed, and it's like given enough time, everything, life will assemble and find a way. And it's like, yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, but it almost seems like there has to be a design and a creator, in the Big Bang, and fucking A, man, I don't know. There's so much shit that we don't know. This worlds within worlds stuff, I don't know. So, shit. That's why these fundamentalists, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's something to that, Maybe if you give yourself to the Lord 100%, maybe. I don't know. And that's why I don't do that, because I know I'd recant on it or whatever, Like these alcoholics and stuff who are like, I've hit rock bottom. I'm ready to commit. Good for you, man. But me, I'm not even sure if I'm capable. I mean, if I was like on Skid Row or something, like homeless, that's the thing. But, and like I said, I'm not talking shit about that. Like I said, I consider myself Christian. It's just a bad one. I can't slide that blank check under the door, because I know that I could still back out of it, and I won't do that. I won't say, I just can't do it. I think that's in bad taste, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? To say, I'm ready. And then 3 months later, you're like, you know what? It's... just fucking whatever. I'm not talking about repentance or anything like that. I'm talking about just, these guys, who... I guess. So, and I've talked about my plan for that, about communicating and reestablishing, communication and whatnot. And it might not be proper. And I'll look into that too, a relationship with JC, for beginners or something like that, But yeah, and I was officially baptized and all that when I was a baby and all that, So the ritual, which, like I said, as far as I understand, that's why JC did what he did, So it doesn't have to be behind stained glass or under a church steeple, And I am a thankful individual, and I do take everything I have for granted. And that's another reminder that I need to put, next to my bedroom door, so when I leave my bedroom to face the day. Because I've got negative stuff, negative reminders, which is important. But I also need to have reminders, like a reminder that I'm going to put on my dash in my truck, your second chance, whatever, DUI. And I'll take it off like when I turn my truck in for service and whatnot. But that way it's something that I just see all the time while I'm driving, as I'm scanning my dash and checking my mirrors. You know, I'll have a reminder, you know, next to my door jamb, you know, so. I don't know what it'll say, but just, you know, something along the lines of, you know, take for granted much, question mark. So, because, you know, tomorrow is not guaranteed. And I might find out, you know, that I have some sort of cancer tumor. I mean, when they did that CT scan, you know, when I got in my wreck, nothing popped up. But that's just like if there's like major shit, you know, there could be shit, you know, like developing, you know. And I remember, you know, it was like actually it's probably like 3 years ago at this point, you know, I had panel blood work, you know, all my shit. But and they were like, oh yeah, everything's like within range. But, you know, I just need to do that, you know. Every year, you know, a person should go to the doctor. You're supposed to go to the dentist twice a year, but what the fuck's up with that? I think once a year would suffice. So, but yeah. Nobody saw that coming. Under stupid comments, please go easy. I'm going to, I guess, you know, And I used to say that as if whatever, you know, but it's like, fuck off, you know. She didn't stand a chance. And I stand behind that, you know what I mean? But apparently she was so fucking fragile and needed approval. You know, like, I don't know what she did for a living, but she seems like the type of girl who would, you know, just all smiles and, hey, hi, you know, and can you work this weekend, you worthless bitch, you know, and, oh, yeah, sure, you know, and it's like, she just seems like the type of girl who just desperately, you know, needed approval and just absolutely, you know, what should I do with my dog? Oh, this isn't the way I channel, and just all that shit. That poor little lamb. But still, you know, I mean, I guess she just didn't stand a chance. She was a poor little lamb destined to eventually be slaughtered by life. And she took herself out the game by her own hand, most likely. And it's just awful. So anyway, SC, I know that's not really what you don't want to hear me talking about that, but and you know who she is. I mean, you know that's awful. And she was obviously, you know, she just buried that shit down. You'd never know, except for her stupid comments. You know, I'm going through some shit. Please be kind. Shut the fuck up. You're asking the world. Oh, shit. This lamb is going to be the first to go when the wolves show up. You know, and she just never stood a fucking chance. I'm surprised she made it as far as she did. And every time I'm scrolling through my pictures or whatever, you know, and I see that smiling face, I'm not getting rid of them, but what a dumb fucking bitch.